I grew up in Cambridgeshire. A very musical family, really musical family. My dad, although he didn't really play many instruments, he just absolutely loved the classics: Springsteen, AC/DC, Hendrix, Cream, The Doors, the whole like 70s, 60s,
It's
70s, 80s rock. Yeah, exactly. So I literally just grew up surrounded by that. I've got a brother a few years older than me, and when he was born, had a guitar shoved in his hand within about 6 months. So he was always the guitarist. I came out about 2 years later, and I had a pair of drumsticks thrown in my hand at birth. There's a picture of me on the Instagram somewhere, and it's literally me. I think I'm about 7 weeks old, and I'm behind a little drum kit.
We'll pop that on the screen right now.
We'll pop it in the screen. Yeah. I'll send it to you after. Yeah. I must have been so young, and it's my brother on his guitar. He's about 2. I've just been born, and I've got a pair of drumsticks and a little Argos drum kit in front of me. So my dad was always very like, your both of my sons are being musicians, which I cannot thank him enough for. Like, incredible. So I was in a band with my brother Josh for years and years and years. When we were like in primary school and secondary school, we were in a covers band. My dad used to drive us to all the pubs on the weekend, and we'd play all the pubs when you could still smoke inside, all of that. So I'd be there at like 12 years old with a drum kit that was far too big for me. All the fellas were smoking, and we were playing Mustang Sally and Back in Black and all that, me and my brother. And then, I did that for years, a few covers bands here and there while I was doing my GCSEs, all of that stuff. And then when I hit 17, I finished my GCSEs, and I said, do you know what? I loved my little hometown village. I loved it. I had a great childhood there, but it was like, if I want to do this properly, I need to live in London or a big city. So I said to my dad at 17, I said, I want to move to London. And he said, yeah, go on then. Yeah, cool. And I couldn't believe like the support. So I had a look online what kind of education I could get to kind of support because I can't just move to London and do nothing straight away. So I found a college called ICMP. It's the Institute of Contemporary Music Performance. It's in Kilburn in London. And it's like a diploma course basically for 1 year. So I moved to London and did that for a year. I started in a student halls, and then I just got like tiny little shitty flats. I'm allowed to swear on this podcast.
Yeah. Do what you put on your podcast.
So I got tons of shitty flats here and there, and just did that for a year. And then I met John. John is my closest friend ever. He moved down from Liverpool at a similar time that I moved down to London. He moved from Liverpool to London, and we were just looking to be in a band, really. We found each other on like joinmyband.com, and we were like, oh shit, we live really close. We met for a jam at the Roundhouse in Camden in the rehearsal rooms, and kind of that was the start of everything in terms of my London life, really. So I was 17 at the time, met John, joined this band, and since then, like up until basically pre-lockdown, which was probably 6, 7 years, I was in this band. We were called Judas. We toured, as you mentioned, you had to Sherlock's earlier. We toured with the Sherlocks. We did some massive stuff. It was amazing being like 17, 18, 19, 20 in like an indie band, tour in the UK in like the worst van. In fact, when we started touring, we were going up and down in megabuses to all the venues. And then we managed to pull enough together to buy the worst van in history. And then we toured the UK for 6 years straight, doing just the worst venues, the stickiest floors, playing to 2 people, playing to 10 people. But after a few years, we started to make a bit of a name for ourselves. So we started to get a book on the festivals and stuff like that. And then we did Reading and Leeds main stage. We did the Isle of Wight main stage. We started to do some bits, which was really, really, really fun. And that was like the best time. When I look back on that now and I'm like, that's the good old days. Yeah. Being in a band, sleeping in the van, sleeping on people's floors, sleeping in the venue, getting pissed every single night on the cheapest bottle of vodka we could. God, it was amazing. I look back on that now, and it was only a few years ago, but I look back and it was beautiful. It was beautiful times. And then basically lockdown hit, and as that happens with every single other musician on the planet, it just kind of puts a halt on everything. And especially when you're a band that's still up and coming, it takes a big hit, because you kind of rely on having regular gigs and making fans and selling merch and stuff like that. So this is kind of where the TikTok, I haven't shut up yet, sorry, but this is where the kind of the TikTok leaks into it, because lockdown happened, everyone went home to their parents' house because we didn't know how long this bloody thing was going to go on for. And then that was when I first downloaded TikTok, and I was like, I'm not downloading that stupid app. Everyone was going on it. I kept seeing it on my Instagram, and I was like, no way, I'm not doing it. And then the boredom came in, and I was like, bloody hell, I'll get an account. Downloaded it, and just like everyone else, I spent 9 hours a day scrolling through TikTok during lockdown.
That's it.
And I was like, bloody hell, this is great. Started posting a couple of stupid videos of me and my dog and me and my family pissed and all that. And then when between lockdown 1 and 2, I came back to London because I needed to be back in London, because it was just like it's my home really. And there's a drum booth just down the road from me that you can rent out by the hour. So I went in and started just like keeping up with my chops and doing that. And then a couple of times after being in there, I was like, why don't I just film it and stick it on TikTok? So I did that for 4 or 5 months. No, actually, that's probably a bit shorter than that, probably about 3 months. And just throwing up and started doing a few covers in that, and didn't really take off. And then I did, Little Nas released Industry Baby, I think it was. And I covered that, and that was my first video that I uploaded, and the views, rather than getting like 50 or 60 views, it started going up to like 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, then it was like 10,000, and I was like, God, this is like mad. The algorithm just picked me up. It was lovely. It was great. And then I was like, bloody hell, it was almost like an addiction. It was like, oh my God, like I've got like 50,000 views on this video. I need to get more. And then is when the real magic happens, because Billie Eilish released Happier Than Ever. Yeah. And I was like, obviously it was quite a drum heavy track. So I just went, fuck it, I'm just going to cover that. Went in the booth, few beers, few Red Bulls, about 50 takes. Obviously the post you see on TikTok is just like the best possible take, but I'm in there for hours, like doing it over and over again until I'm like happy with it. I'm sure if you listen to it, you think they all sound the same, but for me, I'm like, I need that perfect one. And then I finally got it. I was dripping with sweat. I was like screaming, uploaded that. And like, I woke up the next morning and it had like 1 million views. And I was like, holy shit, what the hell is going on here? What the hell is going on? And then like every time I went on my phone, it was going up by another 200,000, 300,000. It was jumping up that in those bigger blocks. And I was like, I just could not believe what was happening. I couldn't believe it. And I was like, my followers were going up from like, I think I've still got a screenshot on my phone when I had 200 followers on TikTok. And then like, I've got like screenshots throughout where it goes 100,000, 200,000, 300,000. I'm like, bloody hell. So yeah, that kind of just gave me that platform then, from that one video to just everything that I released from then on kind of had a higher base level of views.